Ladies and gentlemen, Los Angeles has done it again. The city that once symbolized the American dream just waved the white flag again. And this time, it wasn't an earthquake that shook the city. This was the Dodgers' own fans turning downtown into a war zone while the media called it a celebration. Fireworks were not lighting up the sky in victory. They were being fired directly at police officers. Businesses smashed, cars torched, and the same news anchors who clutched their pearls on January 6th suddenly shrugged it off as if people were expressing themselves. Yeah, their words, not mine. Anyway, you can't even make this stuff up. The same city that spent $32 million cleaning up the last peaceful protest just lit the fuse on another disaster. And who's footing the bill here? You are, the taxpayers, the citizens who actually follow the law. And as usual, the corporate media covered it up, spinning chaos as joy, criminal attacks as crowd energy, and let's not forget law enforcement retreating as tactical restraint. Folks, let's just go ahead and call it what it is. This is a surrender, a total collapse of leadership in one of America's most iconic cities. Meanwhile, President Trump is rebuilding the economy, restoring law and order, and putting America back on track. And yet California's biggest city is burning itself down in broad daylight while pretending that it's progress. So tonight, we're breaking down the truth that the media refuses to touch, how the Dodgers' victory became yet another defeat for law and order, how Los Angeles turned fireworks into weapons and journalists into spin doctors. Oh, and of course, how this $32 million meltdown proves once again that liberal leadership is destroying the cities that we built. Because if what happened in LA last night isn't a warning, then nothing is. Hit the like button and subscribe. I want to get into this. So Los Angeles, once the crown jewel of the West Coast, a city built on dreams, ambition, and palm line promise, has become a symbol of surrender. Another night, another collapse. A so-called celebration turns into yet another reminder that the city of angels has completely lost control of its own streets. I mean, look, the skyline still glitters, but the ground beneath it burns. Fireworks echo off the skyscrapers, not in victory, but in defiance. Citizens declaring open season on their own city while police are watching from behind the barricades. So what used to be a parade route now looks like a battleground. LA didn't just surrender to chaos, it surrendered to apathy, to leadership that shrugs when laws are broken and laughs when taxpayers foot the bill. The city that once exported Hollywood heroism is now exporting footage of broken glass and blocked fire trucks. Another LA night, another surrender, and the world is watching it rot in real time. And it all started like any other sports win, cheering crowds, blue lights, and banners, but within hours of the Dodgers clinching another championship, victory transformed into vandalism. Officers were hit with fireworks and bottles, metro buses torched, driverless cars smashed, and small businesses boarded up yet again. Now, Fox News cameras captured police forced to retreat under a shower of sparks while chants turned into chaos. One LAPD commander called it a full-scale street siege. Now, these weren't fans. They were mobs that are hijacking a moment of joy to wage war on their own city. Families who came downtown to celebrate ended up sprinting for cover as explosions rattled storefronts. Helicopters circled, ambulances stalled, and yet by sunrise, reporters were already calling it a celebration. Now, when criminals throw fireworks at cops and the press calls it passion, you already know a city's moral compass has completely snapped. This wasn't a celebration. This was like surrender disguised as pride. Now, here's a little secret. Thousands of people are already calling chapter about Medicare, and when that many people move in the same direction, there's usually a reason. Now, this is exactly why I partner with Chapter. They're the team that most people trust with their Medicare choices. Now, one of our viewers said, I called because everyone else was talking about it, and I'm glad I did. So let me ask, are you going to stay outside the herd, or are you going to join what most people are already doing? Now, most people are dialing the phone number at the bottom of your screen right there, or they're visiting askchapter.org/Ron. That phone number again is 909-563-8279. Oh, and don't take my word for it, guys. Here's what one of you have said. So Jeannie Rott said, "Hello, Ron. Last Friday, I spoke with John from Chapter. He was professional, knowledgeable, and friendly. I signed up with Chapter on Friday. They are extremely busy. He understood what I wanted, needed, and desired. He saved me a lot of money for dental and vision." Guys, this is the kind of experience that people are having every single day because Chapter actually listens. Now, by the time the first bottle flew, the LAPD already knew what was coming. They'd been placed on tactical alert, barricades up, horses ready, choppers in the sky. The city was braced for a riot. They braced for impact before the first pitch was ever thrown. But preparations means nothing when leadership refuses to let you act. You see what I'm saying here? Officers could see it coming, crowds swelling, fireworks flying, streets blocked, and they still had to hold the line without real authority to enforce it. Their job wasn't to protect the city. It was to avoid headlines. Now imagine that. Men and women sworn to defend Los Angeles, ordered to stand down while their patrol cars are getting pelted with mortar shells. I mean, this is not a lack of manpower. This is a lack of permission. In fact, the same politicians who call it community policing, they have turned their officers into props, only to blame them later for not doing enough. That is not law enforcement. This is stage management for a failing regime. And so when the smoke cleared, the media did what they always do. They pulled out the word blender and they sanitized the chaos. NBC called it unruly celebrations. ABC said emotions ran high. CNN's headline, crowds celebrate in their own way. Their own way? That way involved fireworks aimed at cops, looting, and millions in damages? Well, the same anchors who labeled Trump supporters as domestic extremists for walking through the Capitol suddenly found compassion for rioters that are throwing explosives at police. Somebody help me out with this. I don't understand what they're talking about here. The hypocrisy is breathtaking. They're not reporting news. They're protecting a narrative. In their world, destruction is justified as long as it happens under a blue state mayor. They will twist words like pretzels in order to keep liberal cities looking virtuous even as they burn. And so when lawlessness becomes celebration, truth itself becomes the first casualty. The mainstream media didn't just cover the chaos, they covered it up. And they expect you not to notice. Now, this isn't new. This is not random. This is a pattern. We've seen this many times. Every time Los Angeles wins, it loses. 2020, Lakers take the title and the streets ignite. 2022, the Rams win the Super Bowl and it's chaos again. And now here in 2025, the Dodgers bring home yet another championship, and all of a sudden it's a replay of the same lawless highlight reel. Same city, same script, same silence from the top. I mean, you could pretty much set your watch to it. Every major victor becomes an excuse to riot, loot, and call it community energy. And every time, the cameras zoom in on the fireworks, but not the faces behind them. This is the tragedy. Violence has become tradition. I mean, like, what should be pride has turned into panic. What should be unity turns into vandalism. They call it culture. I call it a collapse. So when you can predict the riot before the trophy even hits the case, that's not celebration. That is addiction. LA doesn't celebrate success anymore. It destroys it. And so let's talk about what chaos actually costs, shall we? Because after the anti-ICE riots earlier this year, Los Angeles taxpayers, they were already down $32 million for policing, cleanup, and damages. $32 million. I don't know about you, but that's a lot of money, okay? And this is before the Dodgers even stepped on the field. Now, if we add this latest celebration, you're looking at another $5 million just for officers to stand there and take it. It's madness. I mean, the city is drowning in $1 billion deficit, yet somehow they find endless money to fund failure. Overtime for exhausted cops, repair crews sweeping up the broken glass, emergency vehicles blocked by mobs. You're paying for that. Your taxes, your income, your future, your property taxes. Let's not forget about that. And what do you get in return? What? More graffiti, more boarded up businesses, more headlines about peaceful celebrations? Do you even feel safe walking outside your home? Drop a yes or no down below. This is what happens when leadership treats lawlessness like a weekend festival. Millions vanish, morale collapses, and the same cycle restarts all over again. LA isn't just broke financially. It is bankrupt morally, and nobody's cutting a check for that. At the heart of this collapse is weak leadership. You got Mayor Karen Bass of Los Angeles preaching about community understanding. Meanwhile, the streets are looking like a war zone. The city council spends more time debating pronouns than public safety, and every time police officers try to do their jobs, they're second-guessed, investigated, and silenced by their own bosses. This is not leadership. This is surrender with a smile. President Donald J. Trump has offered federal help before. He has been crystal clear. Law and order first, excuses later. But LA's officials would rather let their city burn than accept help from a man who actually enforces the law. This is what tolerance has turned into. Tolerating destruction, tolerating failure, tolerating danger. And when tolerance becomes policy, chaos becomes culture. The same politicians who cry about justice, they are the ones that are refusing to protect it. They don't need another conference. They need a backbone. Because right now, Los Angeles has none. Now, if this year has taught us anything, it's that the economy can change overnight. Stocks swing, banks fail, the Fed reacts. But here's the real question. How much of your future is tied to a system that you can't even control? And this is exactly why I partner with Noble Gold Investments, because they help people take back control, not with promises, but with real tangible assets. They'll show you how to move part of your IRA or your 401k into physical gold and silver held in your name. So when people see how simple it is, they always say the same thing. That makes sense. Now, this is why most people right now are calling Noble Gold Investments at 877-646-5347, or they're visiting ronyatesgold.com to download their free wealth protection kit down below. Because once you understand what's happening in the markets, doing nothing stops making sense. So why is it that in Los Angeles, every celebration ends with sirens? Like, what kind of culture throws fireworks at cops and calls it pride? Somewhere along the way, joy turned into destruction and respect somehow turned into rage. Can anybody make some sense of that for me? Because I'm struggling. Now, this isn't about baseball anymore. This is about identity. These aren't fans. These are followers of a broken belief system where chaos equals freedom and anarchy equals expression. Now, if you compare that to conservative towns across America, places that celebrate victories with parades, community cookouts, and kids waving flags, you don't see mass looting in Oklahoma City after a championship, do you? You don't see police barricades in Amarillo after a parade, do you? This is because values still exist there. Los Angeles traded its values for virtue signals, and now it's paying the price. What they call progress, I call decay. It's not a celebration when the smoke you're cheering through comes from your own city burning. That's not freedom. It is failure in disguise. So now I want to talk about the sleight of hand that keeps this entire circus spinning, the media's sneaky trick. You see, guys, when chaos breaks out in liberal cities, reporters don't deny it, they reframe it. They soften the language. Protesters instead of rioters, demonstrations instead of destruction, celebrations instead of assault on police. You see what I'm saying here? It is all narrative control designed to make lawlessness sound like liberation. Fox News called it out directly. Mainstream networks rely on this trick to look less one-sided. Translation, they rewrite reality in order to protect their allies, and the public swallows it whole. And so while Trump voters gather peacefully, it's an insurrection. When Los Angeles mobs throw fireworks at cops, it's passionate celebration. They have built an entire industry on selective outrage, and it's collapsing under its own hypocrisy. Journalism was supposed to hold power accountable, but instead it's become a PR department for dysfunction. The story isn't the riot, the story is the cover-up. So now let's contrast that with what's happening right now at the national level. Under President Donald J. Trump, America is getting its backbone back. Law and order isn't a campaign slogan, it's an active policy. You've got ICE coordination returning, border security tightening, and fentanyl pipelines being crushed before they even reach your streets. Federal agents, they're not being told to stand down. They're being told to stand firm. That's the difference. The Trump administration is rebuilding strength while LA's leadership celebrates weakness. You can't run a country or a city on excuses. You need enforcement, not empathy for chaos. The White House has made that clear. This new America won't tolerate cities that glorify crime under the banner of equity. Trump is restoring the accountability at every level. Los Angeles is restoring graffiti. It's that simple. And so when President Trump says law and order, he means it. When LA says it, they mean form a committee. And that's the problem. Now, look around, guys. Los Angeles is not an outlier. It's a warning. San Francisco, Chicago, Portland, New York, they're all singing the same sad song. Crime is up. Business is gone, residents fleeing in record numbers. Every one of these cities ran on the same progressive playbook: defund police, demonize success, and call disorder diversity. The same result? Urban decay wrapped in virtue signaling. This is what happens when ideology replaces responsibility. And so when mayors care more about social media applause than street safety, when prosecutors treat criminals like victims and victims like collateral damage, Los Angeles is just the loudest example of a quiet collapse that's spreading nationwide to all 50 states. You cannot build prosperity on permissiveness. You can't maintain order without consequence. And you can't fix a broken city by pretending like it's not broken. These places don't need more empathy. They need enforcement, because right now, America's greatest cities are being run by people who mistake sympathy for strength. Now, Los Angeles has clearly surrendered again, but America doesn't have to. The fire that burned downtown doesn't have to spread to every community. It's time for accountability. Real accountability from politicians, from journalists, and from the citizens who have had enough. You can't keep calling destruction expression. You can't keep excusing crime as culture. The truth is, LA didn't lose control last night. It lost it years ago when it traded law for optics and discipline for denial. But we don't have to follow that path. Under President Trump, we are reminded that strength still matters, law still matters, truth still matters. And if we want to save what's left of our cities, we need to stop surrendering and start standing. Can I get an amen, folks? America is not finished. It's waking up. Los Angeles may be burning tonight, but the rest of the nation is watching and learning, because the first step to rebuilding isn't denial, it's truth. And that's what we do here every single night.